Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty intriguing stuff when it comes to some pretty big PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 exploits that are actually now making their way over here when it comes to Blu-ray discs, and basically potentially allowing folks to now go and focus on jailbreaking out their consoles, finding a way to basically go and play other various games, and at the end of the day, kind of just seems very intriguing, to the point where a lot of them are basically saying it's not more of a matter of if, more so of a matter of when. And we had a lot more information with it, and I feel like it's kind of somewhat intriguing, mainly because it was happening so fast in regards to like the potential jailbreak for these brand new next-gen consoles, especially for the PS4, but more so on the PS5, because as you guys know, it's only been out for like a year and a half or so. So we have a lot of information kind of going on over this, and this actually just came out throughout this week, so I want to go and talk about this and kind of bring it to light, kind of showcase up what's going on and all of that type of stuff as well. And as well, if any of you guys are brand new, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. We have the Amazon links down below for your PS5 to sign up on Amazon. We have the Target links down below to check and see. We also do have the everything else, the Twitter and Twitch room. Definitely go follow up the Twitch room. We'll be probably co-streaming up the brand new Microsoft event very soon. So make sure you guys are checking that up and following on up down below. So as I mentioned, we actually have a brand new kind of big exploit that's now been making its way into town. And well, a lot of stuff has kind of been coming out with it, so we're going to talk about it. So basically, this is more in regards to like the more detailed surface on the PlayStation 4 and PS5 Bluray exploits. So basically, PlayStation hacker The Flow gave the scene an electroshock yesterday by revealing an explicit chain using Blu-ray discs on the PS4 and the PS5. The security researcher stated in his disclosure that these exploits could also travel to kernel exploitation on the PS4 and also could lead into pirated discs on the PlayStation 5. So as you guys probably know, for that just basically means that you have a chance then to go and then utilize like fake DVDs, fake discs, or maybe even buy like bootleg PlayStation 5 games as they're running on the PlayStation 5 Blu-ray player. So it's very intriguing to see this as well. Now, I'm not usually someone who does partake in this too much, although I do remember back in the day, like the Xbox 360s, where folks were just basically going hardcore and, well, making sure that like anyone can go and hack any game and be a part of it. So past the initial excitement, we're left with a lot of questions, for which answers are slowly bubbling up. Here's what we understand so far, and as always, basically for them, you guys can try in the comment section down below or in the article itself. I heard there was big news yesterday. Where's the hack for my PS4, PS5? So legendary PlayStation hacker The Flow W revealed a chain of exploits for the PS4 and the PS5 yesterday at a conference, using vulnerabilities in the Blu-ray driver used by both consoles. Theoretically, these exploits could lead to a jailbreak on PS4 and also possibly pirated discs now on the PS5. But as of right this second, nothing's actually been officially released that could be directly leveraged by end users, which is kind of nice. Like, we're not having people like, scheming or trying to make fake disc or whatever, but it does lead to the fact that it could now potentially happen. So at this moment, what we have is a quite precise exploitation of what vulnerabilities exist on the consoles and where the code of the firmware. So compile all of this information to a working proof of concept for either console is left as an exercise to the reader. Then assuming someone reproduces what The Flow has described in the report, aka like a kernel panic, this also Sony is be associated with more discoveries such as a kernel exploit 2 as well. So right now it doesn't seem like it's a 100% full-on like jailbreak, mainly because there's always brand new updates for the PlayStation 5 and PS4 firmware, and sometimes you have to go and focus on like maybe a firmware from like a year ago, 2 years ago, that has more of the potential for utilizing that. So for other words, it could be months before something usable by the end user comes out for this, and as a good reminder, it took multiple months for seasoned hackers to release a PS4 7.55 jailbreak, which I think we actually talked about way forever ago as well. So basically at this point, like kind of like the summary of this is a lot of these people are getting pretty close to being able to hack and then utilize these consoles and basically be able to go and either use the PS4, PS5 and kind of jailbroken news. So for this one, for people running the firmware 9.0 or lower, you can already jailbreak your console. One could imagine that this exploit chain gets paired with existing kernel exploits. We're assuming here that the kernel exploits functions can be assessed from within the BD context. The Flow is also said the exploit is 100% reliable, meaning that people would expect a 100% stable jailbreak, and it's more on the PS4. This will be improved compared to the current jailbreaks, which sometimes require multiple retries due to the randomness of all this. So basically, it's just like at this point for the PS4 Blu-ray, it just is a lot more stable and a lot more consistent. And then for people running their best trying on the firmware's 9.0, with 3.04, The Flow has basically said this with this exploit chain successful. Kernel exploitation is trivial, as there's no SMEP, and one can simply jump to user with a corrupted function pointer. I wish I knew what any of this stuff even meant. But it's kind of like, I think the summary for this is that they're just trying their best to go and utilize the Blu-ray players and older models to essentially either like it so you can have pirated discs, and have it working on your console, or especially for the PS4. So very crazy to go and see this. Basically, the way that the article is reading this here is that the implementing privilege escalation, it's basically the jailbreak for the PS4, in this context would be very easy. So take this with a pinch of salt here. What's trivial to the flow may still require a lot of research as well. But I think the more big thing is that people have the opportunity to make it happen, and people have the research, like, a guide and YouTube videos to go and kind of find it. So basically, people running on the firmware 9.5 or above, PlayStation have patched the security holes in 9.5, so there's nothing for you here. Although if you try to get your hands on a lower firmware on the PS4, when you get a chance, at the very least, stop updating your console if you expect to jailbreak it. So basically, I'm just trying to say, like, at some point, they can probably keep on updating it, because every single brand new firmware, there's different security measures and different other updates going on with the consoles themselves. So will this exploit mean the return of pirated disc on the PS4, and that they need to burn dozens of Blu-ray discs as well for homebrew emulators? And I kind of say most likely not. The fact the exploit loses Blu-ray vulnerabilities to run does not limit users on this format. After successful exploitation, the Blu-ray vulnerability is the entry point to unlocking the console. So once the break is active in RAM, loading homebrew, and yes, even for the pirated games, would most likely work with the same way it has, install the console either via USB or FTP from one's computer as well. So I'm kind of more intrigued on that. Like, it seems like the PS4 is pretty much almost fully into it, but I think the PS5 itself is kind of the next big major step. So what does this mean for the Blu-ray exploit mean for the PS5 hacking and privacy, which I think a lot of you guys would care about too as well. So the Flow initially stated in his report that this exploit chain could easily lead now to pirated discs on the PlayStation 4. Because this is not a kernel exploit per se, no full access to the console, actions within the BD context would be limited, but in his report, the hacker was confident that this could lead to the creation of pirated discs. The report didn't mention that whether this was for PS4 or PS5, implying both. So at this point, that kind of pretty much confirms that if people really want to try their best to go get it, they could try their best to go get some PlayStation 5s and basically have a chance to go get some Blu-ray discs and basically go and run these games if they're on an older firmware update. So it does kind of seem like it seems like kind of a big exploit as well. So the UDF driver is used in the PS4 and PS5, which contains a buffer overflow. With these vulnerabilities, it is possible to ship pirated games on Blu-ray discs. That's possible even with the kernel exploit, as we have JIT capabilities. So basically what that just means that you actually probably could go and play these games and pirate games on your PlayStation 5. So with this one, they have a chance just to go and quote it, saying, I wanted to clarify, without a kernel exploit, you won't be able to run any pirated games, which have worked on the PS4 only anyways, because we don't have enough RAM in the JDJ processes, and there are some constraints. It was only a theoretical impact. So this is pretty important over here because anyone who thought this could lead to instant piracy, the path of PS4 disc piracy is not as straightforward to this as well, which is kind of nice because that means it's not like a one-to-one like about to happen tomorrow. It seems that the hacker meant specifically PS4 games. It could also be that the Flow might simply just try to cover himself, legally speaking, of all the points of the disclosure. The threat of PS5 piracy is probably the least interesting from a technical level, but the most threatening for Sony's business, because that obviously means like if people can now go and like either somewhat get inside the firmware, change games from like the actual downloads, have pirated game disc, like let's say for COD of War, the first day it comes out, and people try to start mass selling it on like say eBay or Amazon for $30, $20, and like it can basically go and mess up their model a lot, especially because Sony themselves is a very big single player game company. They usually prefer more, obviously the God of Wars, the Horizons, Forspoken, etc. So it's kind of rough over here. So there actually still possibly exists a path that leads to disc piracy for the PS5 here. Whether entrepreneurs will quickly figure it out and start selling pirated games is anyone's guess. So that could actually be potentially really bad. As far as hacking goes, this unlocks a pretty significant door inside the PS5 security that other hackers might start using to dig into the PS5 internals. Once that breach is here, that could lead to more discoveries for tinkerers as well. So we'll probably keep on seeing like this throughout the next few weeks, few months, as they keep on getting more and more information and more stuff floating on in. And then also as well, a lot of folks are kind of curious in the PS3 because they also do have their Blu-ray players too as well. So a lot of folks keep on saying that the PS3 is pretty much hackable for the most part thanks to PS3's exploit, PS3 had and hybrid firmwares, but more exploits couldn't hurt. It might help towards the full FWE for the hardware revisions that are still incapable too as well. So a lot of folks over here, basically I think the big thing is that if you want to go and care about the stuff, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't think people should be mass selling and mass producing games and like kind of stealing from Sony. I think that's kind of illegal and you shouldn't probably do that. But in case you guys do care about that, it does kind of seem like the PS4 9.5 and PS5 5.00 are basically the big firmwares you guys want to go and say on top of that too as well. So at the end of the day, it does kind of seem like this has a really big, potentially bad issue, mainly because this could lead into, well, like a lot of folks just getting games that they could not just go and play. Like they literally can like go buy Blu-ray players, like I said, on Amazon or eBay or Facebook and have someone mass sell, thousands of God of War discs for $20, and it takes maybe $2 to make a God of War disc, and then copy it on over. So kind of give me your thoughts and comments down below. It does kind of seem a little bit on the scarier side for the future of Sony, and we'll keep on seeing how they keep on fighting against these really big exploits. As well, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on, as well for the brand new PlayStation 5 giveaway. We have the Amazon links down below for the PS5. Make sure you guys are following up the Twitch for the Microsoft conference. We have the also the Target links down below and everything else as well down below. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching in the first place.